with the Claiborne Company, CORFAC International in Torrance, California. As chairman of CORFAC's Next Gen Committee, it's my pleasure to introduce this morning's session leader, Greta Schulz. Greta is the president and CEO of Schulz Business Solutions based in Jupiter, Florida. Her company helps organizations build their businesses on referrals and improve their sales processes. Greta has consulted for our Las Vegas-based affiliate, MDL Group, and presented to CORFAC last spring on the idea of networking to build referrals. She is a contributing author to the New York Times bestselling book, Master of Sales, and author of her own bestseller, To Sell is Not to Sell, which is now in its second edition. Furthermore, her national business sales column, SELLutions, appears in more than 30 business publications. She has worked extensively with entrepreneurs and small businesses, as well as many Fortune 1000 companies, and has been a guest on major network business talk shows while being recognized as a national top speaker. Greta earned her business degree from the University of Miami and is happily married with 3 children. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming Greta Schulz.
All right, well, thanks, Tyler. And my 3 children are in their 30s, so I'm glad we're still calling them children. They don't see themselves that way. Okay, so what I want to do today, everybody, is I want to talk a little bit about what goals are and what I believe they're not. I want to talk through some things here, and really what this is going to involve, if you choose to accept it, is a little homework for you. And the reason that that's important is because we all know what goals are basically. What I want you to do is I want to go through this with you today. And if you think it makes sense, then after you're finished or over the next several weeks, take some time, sit down, and really work through this, because goals all sound great, but if you don't really break it down to what you need to do and what it takes to get there, it really won't do you any good. So let's talk a little bit about why you're going to set goals. Goals make you aware of your strengths, and it's used to overcome obstacles that you have when you have goals. If you don't know where you are, it's not going to help you. It helps you understand your weaknesses as well as your strengths. It helps you create a map to follow. And that's really important. We're going to talk about that. Excuse me, I've been doing this for days. So we're talking about that in some detail today, because that's important. Goal setting requires you to set priorities and establish a direction for you. The thing about goal setting to me is it's not a dream, it's a goal. And when you dream about something, that's great. But if you don't break that down and understand how to create it as a goal, you won't meet it. Okay. And it requires you to have a full system. So let's talk about that for a minute. Sometimes what happens, especially when we're in an organization where they set goals with you or for you, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's important that you have your arms around your goals as well. In my personal opinion, I think that even if you're working with an organization, the organization should work with you in setting goals as opposed to them setting them for everyone. And it all depends on what organization you're with. But to me, that makes some sense, because if you don't have some skin in the game, goals don't mean anything to you. For example, if somebody says your goal for next year is $100,000 in commission, well, that sounds great. But if you're making 25 or 30 this past year, or you just came out of school, or you made 50, that's a big jump. Doesn't mean it's wrong. What it means is you want to be able to get your arms around a goal and you want to feel good about it. Here's the other thing I think is really important about goals. If you set a goal, let's say your goal is, I don't know, $10,000 in new leases a month. Okay. And again, these are just numbers I'm throwing out. So if that's your goal and you're doing everything you can to try to set the priority for that, and then somebody else in your office leases this 50,000 square foot, monstrosity, and they're a hero, even though you're doing all the things you need to do to build up to that, all of a sudden you're a slug, right? You feel like, oh, I'm no good. Well, listen, to me, this is not brain surgery. Sometimes we get lucky and we have some really, really good successes. But the way this works on a steady basis is you have to do one thing after another, do it well, do it consistently. And when you do your activities consistently, you're going to be successful. It isn't brain surgery. It's about figuring out what you need to do and doing it well. And that's really the crux here. So let's go a little further to the next page and let's talk about this. By the way, I didn't mention to you guys, if you have questions along the way, put it in chat. And you don't have to wait till the end, just stick it in there and they'll let me know what the questions are and we'll jump right in. So I wanted to mention that to you. Okay, so when you're thinking about setting your goals, I want you to think about what your starting point is. Before you can go anywhere, let's first look at what your income was last year. If your income last year was, I don't know, $50,000 in a combination of commission and salary or base or however that works in your particular organization, then you want to look at your income for this year. Don't go crazy. If, like I said, if you made 50 last year, I don't know that you want to set 100 or 150 this year. If you want to push on the envelope, so you're challenging yourself, but if you put too much in there, it can be defeating for you. And you don't want to change your goal halfway through if you don't have to. Now, 2020 was an interesting year. And of course, changing it along the way was part of what we needed to do. So I want you to keep that in the back of your mind as we move forward in 2021, because we don't know exactly what's going to happen here. So when we get to talk about activities today, which we're going to, and I want to talk about that in some detail, I want you to think about which activities are you perceiving are realistic for you, and what are you going to be able to do in the environment that we're in, assuming that we're going to be in that environment a little longer. Okay? So once you set your 2021 income goal, and I don't have a problem with you leaving this blank and going back to it and kind of reverse engineering it. That's fine too. Then I want you to think about, what are my greatest strengths? And your strengths could be something like, I'm very organized, I'm very personable, I'm social, I'm very detail oriented, I'm a really good listener. Whatever those things are, your strengths don't necessarily have to be, I really know the market. And that's a great strength, but it doesn't have to be that. What are your greatest personal strengths? That is something that's interesting. When I present this, most people are really good at putting number 4, which is their weaknesses. Most people aren't that good about putting their strengths. I want you to think about all the strengths that you have. And somebody that you know well, that knows you well, ask them what they think. I mean, really take some time and put your strengths down, because you have them. And sometimes we're shy to bring those out. So put that there. Also, you want to put your weaknesses down. Maybe you work on something and give up too fast. Maybe you start and not finish. Maybe you don't know your industry as well as you should. Whatever it is, make sure you write all those things down. And the reason it's important for you guys to write this down is because when you do that, there's a difference between thinking and verbalizing to actually saying it to yourself and writing it down. When you write something down, it becomes real. It becomes something that you have processed and put down in writing. That becomes totally different than just saying it out loud. So I want you to think about those things and work on those. Now, number 5, we can move this up a little bit, is your satisfaction in all of these areas. And I want to explain this. We're not going to do this now, but I want to explain it because I want you to understand what this is and how this will help you. So what is your satisfaction level? 1 being none at all, and 5 being the best it's ever been in each of these areas. And the reason this is important is because all of these come together. The only one we sometimes think is important is professional and financial, because you're doing this to make money as well. All the other things that you have there, they all come together. And if you're not satisfied in several, if not all of these areas, you want to be able to work on that. So I know it sounds kind of, look, she's talking to us about goals. We're talking about business goals. I understand that, but they're all very intermingled, and it's important that you understand them all. So let's go through these a little bit so you understand what I'm talking about. Professional, are you satisfied with the level that you're at professionally now? 1 to 5, 5 being absolutely 100% couldn't be any better, 1 meaning I'm not satisfied at all. Whatever number you circle there, I want you to explain why that is and how you can get better. I want you to do that for yourself. So with every single one, depending on where you land, why are you putting that down there? Why is that number the one that reflects you in that particular area? And what can you do to make that better? Okay. Financially, same thing. Are you on track to reach the financial goal that you want? That may not mean that you're there now. But if you're on track to do that, then that would be a higher number. What are you doing to keep you on track there? How are you doing it? That's what you want to do. Family, same thing. That's your personal life. That is a very big reflection of what you do every day. You can think it's not, but it is. It affects you mentally. And when you are mentally affected, it's very difficult to do your job. Sales is not an easy job to do. If it was, everyone would be doing it. It's a wonderful, wonderful job. And it's a wonderful way to have your own time, your own, I mean, you can write your ticket. It's very, very exciting. But the reason not everybody's in it is because it's not always easy. So I want you to think about other things that are influencing that. Your family is very important. What can you do to make that better, whatever better is for you? Your mind education. And your mind and your education, let's look at both of that. Education meaning, do you have the information that you should have? Should you go back and take some additional classes? Are there areas that you don't know as well as you should, and you've been avoiding taking those classes? Well, maybe you need to sign up for those. That could be a goal for you. And your mind education is, are you educating your mind in things that make you better? Now, let me give you an example. When I say mind education, it's not only education for your business, but for your mind. A lot of people say to me, what book should I read to get better in sales? Well, there's a lot of them, but I think the first place you go is go on Amazon or wherever you get your reading, or, or you download it and look at like self-discovery, things by Dr. Wayne Dyer. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but if you can get your mind in a good place and you can feel confident, you can do absolutely anything. So I think that mind education is really important, as well as your actual education. The next one is your spiritual and your attitude. And that really goes together with what we were just talking about. You have to have your attitude there. You have to be, and when I say spiritual, that doesn't have to be religion. It's just your spiritually, however you feel that. That's completely personal and up to you. But your attitude is reflected there. And if you feel good about what you do, who you are, you feel confident, and you feel confident about the work that you're doing and you enjoy it. And most days you wake up in the morning and go, I really like what I do. Most days, then you should feel good about that. If you don't, you want to look at why that is, because this isn't life, it's a job. And if you don't love what you do most of the time, you need to analyze why that is. There could be something you can do to change that. And if not, you need to look at something else. And I know that's drastic, but the most important thing is for you to be happy at what makes you happy, okay? Body and health. When you are not healthy, we know this. I mean, I don't think this has ever become more clear than right now. We take our health, especially when we're a bit younger, for granted. I don't think we realize how important that is, how important it is to our feeling good about ourselves and literally being healthy. So that's something that I think we should look at very, very carefully. Social and community. Are we involved socially? Are we getting together with people that we enjoy? And right now, that's never been more important. Even if you can't get together one-on-one, depending on where you guys are in the country, you may or may not be able to do that. But it's very important that you have some social interaction, even if it's on a Zoom call. It doesn't matter. You've got to have some back and forth interaction, and you've got to be able to have that. My sister, her kids are in college and she's divorced and she's alone, and she's been alone a lot of this over the last several months. It's very depressing when you're by yourself. She's a very social person. So she's now started to do some of these kind of calls to talk to a bunch of people, because you can't do that to yourself. Your work is going to suffer and everything's going to suffer. So the last couple of things are your leisure and your recreation. Are you exercising? Are you doing whatever it is that you enjoy? What leisure activities have you done? Can you get back at them? Can you change a different one? And the last thing is your things and your stuff, which sounds crazy, but if you enjoy things, There's nothing wrong with that. Whether it's a car, whether it's, some kind of a new phone or a new gadget or whatever it is that you enjoy, how important are those things? And that all has to do with, and some people say those aren't important, but if they are to you, there's nothing wrong with that. So you want to look at all those things and you want to kind of analyze where you are with those, because that'll help you understand how to move forward with this. Okay. Anybody have any questions so far, comments, anything in the chat? We're good? Okay. Jonathan, did you just raise your hand? Did you want to say something? Sorry. Told you I have 4 dogs at the house today. So, okay, so let's move. I'm going to spend a bunch of time here, guys, because this to me is the most important. I'm going to shut my door. Give me a second. It didn't close all the way, so I don't know how well that's going to do me. Okay, so when we think about goals, goals aren't just about revenue. Goals are, what do you do every day, every week, every month? What are you committing to do? The activities that you do are the most important part of setting goals. So I want to go through each of these things, and I want you guys to think about, are you committed to some of these things? You don't have to be. This is not a formula for everyone, but these are some things that I do think are going to be important for most of you. And if not, then you can put something else in there. But the most important thing for you to reach your goals is to figure out what your activities are. So let's go through these. Now, the first one is cold call. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. The world of working out of our home, right? Okay, so let's go through these. When we talk about cold calling, how many of you are cold calling on a regular basis? If that's your goal, are you doing it weekly? So the other thing about weekly and monthly is this is either or. So weekly cold calling, if you're going to do that, you're probably going to do it weekly. So let's say you get a list and you're going to call 20 new opportunities a week. So put down 20 in there. Okay, so this is about quantifying the things that you're going to do. Now, the last time I talked to you guys, and I don't know if you were all on this, I sent you a sheet of the best way to cold call. So it's kind of a push-pull type of thing. If you need that again, when we're finished, you can email me and I'll send it back to you. But cold calling, if you do it right, can be very effective for you. So that's very important. Okay, so that's one of the things that you want to set. Are you cold calling? And I'm sure you are at some level, because I know some of you guys are, a little bit newer in the business. So what is your weekly goal there? You can put down monthly, but in this case, I think it's got to be weekly. Monthly is not enough. All right. Canvassing. I'm not sure that you guys are canvassing now. I don't know that you're out there actually walking into properties and things like that. So you can put NA for now if you're not doing that. If you're in a place that you can, then go ahead and canvass. But put down what your goals are. Again, this is probably more of a weekly thing once you get back to canvassing. Now, here's another way of you canvassing if you cannot literally walk into locations right now. Canvassing can be done through the mail. Letters are more effective right now, whether it's email or whether it's physically sent in the mail. They are more effective now than they ever have been. People are paying a lot more attention to what they're receiving in the mail. They're looking at their email a little bit more effectively. Those are the kinds of things I think are really important for you. So if you're not physically able to canvass, it's very important, if you're going to do a mailing campaign, that you set that up and you do that on a regular basis. If you're going to do mailing, that's going to probably be more monthly than weekly. But what's your goal there? So instead of canvassing, who are you going to mail and why? So let me give you a few tips on that. If you're going to mail something out to a particular area, downtown Chicago or whatever it is, not only do you want to, put in there what you have available, I mean, you're obviously going to do that about the properties that you have, but I want you to start thinking about doing other things. People don't necessarily only want you to send things that you're doing to sell to them. People want to see things that make you, and this is what you're trying to do, you need to be looked at as an expert in that particular area, in that industry, in that geographic area. The way for you to do that is when you're sending something, whether it's email or whether it's physically in the mail, you want to send to the same group of people over a period of time. It can be monthly, it can be bi-monthly. I wouldn't go any longer than that. But I think what's important is to send information that they will think is interesting. Because if you're only selling things you have as an opportunity, that's not going to work. After a while, you're trying to sell to them and they're going to put that to the side. So I'm going to give you an example of working with actually somebody at MDL, and we came up with something that I thought was really good. One of the women that works there was, she has an area of Las Vegas that she really is looking to concentrate on. So she was talking to one of the city planners, and she happened to meet her at a networking meeting, and she asked her a bunch of questions, and she found out that what they're doing in her particular area is they're spending a couple of $1 million over the next 18 months to put in sidewalks, trees, art, that kind of thing, which was something that was not necessarily out in public, but it was, it's something that could be, but wasn't public knowledge yet. She asked if it was okay if she shared that, and she said absolutely. So what she did was she sent emails and physical mails about, did you know that our downtown area, and she named the area, is going to be spending over $1 million over the next 18 months, or I think it was $2 million over the next 18 months to put in, this and this. So if you are in this area, this is a great time to think about upgrading your particular property, staying where you are. I thought that was really neat. So it's important, guys, when you are, whether you're canvassing physically and you can give people this information when you walk in and see them, or if you're sending an email or mailing, find out something interesting about that area that that person will find of interest. Then you become the go-to person in that area. You become the person that, wow, in downtown Chicago, in rural Wisconsin, whatever it is, you're the person that you're in the know. So it's very important. And to me, I might even come up with something. I did a campaign years ago that was very successful for me, and it was a did you know? And so what I did was every week or every other week, I sent out, did you know that, this particular area has grown this much in the last 5 years? Did you know that? So I came up with a bunch of facts, and really they're very easy to find on the internet, but not everybody's looking for them. So those little tidbits of information are very important to do. The other idea I have for you is a top 5 list. So I worked with somebody that was representing restaurants. They did a lot of leasing of restaurants, and they really wanted to concentrate on restaurants. So we came up with a campaign. We did several, but one of them was the top 5 restaurants in fill in the blank, whatever your area is, to have for the best business luncheon. Now, again, it's an odd time. I don't know if people are having luncheons right now, but that's a really important thing to do. What's the, top five restaurants in the area, top 5 things to look for when putting in furniture in your office, things like that. So you don't necessarily want to do top 5 things in hiring a commercial real estate person. You could, but we want this to be more about the person. You want to be able to educate and teach them. So those are some ideas that I think are really, really impactful for you. If you're going to do mailers, if you're going to canvas in the mail or in email, make sure it's something that's interesting to the other person, that they learn something, that you are the educator of that information. Okay. Any questions on that? Because I think it's a very powerful, important thing for you. Anybody? Okay, no problem. All right, so let's go to the next one, networking groups. Now, here's the thing about networking groups. Right now, some groups aren't meeting at all, whether it's, SIOR, whether it's your chamber, it doesn't matter. Whatever it is that's out there, CORFAC, if you guys are, I don't know who's having networking meetings or not in person, but an awful lot are having networking Zoom meetings or meetings like this. Very, very important. So one of the goals you want to set here is, are you physically going to networking organization or groups? How many groups you're going to and how often? Now, you may be involved in 2 groups and maybe those 2 groups meet once a month. So in that particular case, your goal would be 2 monthly, 2 networking groups, okay? Now, if you remember this from the last time I spoke, great. If not, I'm going to review it again. The reason you network is not to find business. That sometimes happens, and that's a wonderful offshoot, but that's not the reason you network. You network to make sure that you're finding other people that you can align with. And those people are either people that speak to the same people that you do, that they're selling to the same people that you do potentially, but they don't compete with you. And sometimes they're other agents because they do different things than you. Maybe they're a residential real estate agent, or maybe they're just a different commercial. So what you want to do is, when you are networking, you're looking for a strategic alliance. You want to build a relationship with someone that has that kind of relationship with you, and that person is a connector. They can connect you to people that can potentially do business with you, and you have to be as much of a connector as well, so you can connect them with people that they want to do business with. This is really how business is going to be building for you. And because you guys are, typically a little bit newer in the business of commercial real estate, you haven't been out there for 25, 30 years, right? This is a wonderful opportunity for you now to start building relationships with people in your community to start building your business and reach your goals. So again, what are your goals? How many networking groups? And what I want you to do here is, I want you to name each networking group and how often. Let's say it's the Chamber of Commerce, right? Because that's an easy one. So you put the Chamber of Commerce, and let's say they have a monthly meeting, so you put once a month. And then underneath that, your strategic alliance goals with that particular named networking group. So if your networking group is, again, the Chamber, and you're going to go twice a month, when you go, how many strategic alliances are you going to look to build outside of there? And like I said, it can be done online. It doesn't have to be in person. Some, where you guys are located, some are still going to like coffee shops and sitting outside, and that's perfectly fine. If you can't do that, then do it on Zoom. But you can't let these things slide. They've got to go. You're not going to meet goals unless you are organizing these things. So name your networking groups and set your goals of how many strategic alliance one-on-ones you will set outside of those, each one individually. And I only have 2 or 3, name 2 or 3 networking groups. You can have as many as you want. Questions on networking groups or strategic alliances? Okay. I'm either doing a really good job of explaining, or you guys just aren't in there with me. All right, so let me go to the next one. Boards and committees. If you are not on some sort of a board, which maybe, sometimes the boards are people that are a little bit more senior, but not always. Or if you're not on some sort of a committee in one of your organizations, then you need to start looking into that. That's where building relationships and starting to really hit goals is going to happen for you. You need to figure out which committees are out there. You need to figure out what you'd be interested in and what you can join. So if you are going to set that as a goal, great. And typically, if you're on a committee or a board, they usually meet once a month. So I would put down, 1 or 2, whatever committees or boards you are on. And if you're not, start setting that as a goal for 2021. Talk to some of your organizations, see what committees are out there, and start joining them. And then when you go to a committee meeting, same thing. I'm going to go every month and I'm going to find one potential strategic alliance at this particular board, at a board meeting. So that's really important. Okay, so let's continue. Existing clients. If you have existing clients, what we tend to do is we see them and, hey, I'm working on this. Let me give you your, your weekly report of what I've done, who I've shown, that kind of thing. That's all fine. Existing clients also need to have additional education. What can you do for them? Okay, so here's what I want you to ask. I want you to think your clients that you have right now that you're working with. What have you done for them lately? I want you to think about that. What have you done for them lately? What can you send them? What can you do for them outside of just helping them find property or lease or sell their property? What can you do for them outside of that? For example, if they're an accounting firm, if they're a retail shop, it doesn't matter. Take time one day when you're talking to them and saying, look, I want to put real estate to the side for a minute. Tell me what a good customer is for you. Tell me what a good client is for you. I would love to be able to refer people to you when your business is up and running, or once we move you, or whatever the situation is. But I want to know more about how I can help you and introduce you to more people. That's extremely important. Don't forget that. Your best way of hitting your goals is from your existing clients who you work with and refer business to you. If you're not doing anything more for them than real estate, fine, then the only time they're interacting with you is when they need that. There's more. So make sure that you're doing something. What have you done for them lately for existing clients? Past clients are the same. If you put somebody in a property, sold their property, lease, whatever the situation is, or you attempted to, and for some reason, 6 months was up, you couldn't help them, whatever happened, that's okay. Those people need to be on your radar on a regular basis because they know you. They've already either committed to work with you in the past or are working with you now as in existing clients. Those are very important relationships to keep going. So I want you to figure out, number one, how often are you contacting them? Weekly or monthly? How many of them do you have? And then what are you doing for them? Those are very, very important things to build this whole foundation for you to keep building those goals. And when you go back to some of the earlier pages, we don't have to do that, but when you go back to some of those, how are you doing some of those? I want you to look at that and I want you to judge from 1 to 5, how are you doing some of those things as well? If you're not doing what you should be doing in these, that's where you want to look, okay? So let's go to social media and marketing. We talked a little bit about social media before. And what I really talked about was emailing, more of an email campaign instead of canvassing, more of an email type of canvas. But social media and marketing through social media is extremely important. So, obviously you guys have, you have your listings, whether it's in LoopNet, I mean, wherever they are, you've got them, that's fine. Are you sharing that in social media? How often are you sharing it? Here's what I hear a lot. I know I post something when I first get it, but after that, I kind of forget. I get busy and I don't do it. If you don't do it on a regular basis, then you're forgotten. The reason you're doing that is so you can be remembered, so you can be seen as the go-to person in this particular geographic area. So it has to be done on a regular basis. What are you doing? Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, certainly, what are the online social media that you're involved in, and what are you posting? Earlier, we talked about top 5 and we talked about, did you know? Those are also great things to do in social media and when you're doing your marketing. Again, how often are you doing posts? Which organizations are you, or I'm sorry, I keep saying organizations, which online, social media are you involved in? And what are you sending? How often are you sending things? How often are you posting? Another thing about that is if you put a post up and somebody, gives you a thumbs up, or in LinkedIn, they comment on it, always comment back. So you can put a goal in there of commenting, back on social media. Once a week, you'll check that. Once a day, 5 times a month. Doesn't matter to me what that, how often it is, because that's, again, that's how your goals are accomplished. But you've got to set a numeric goal. And the reason you have to do that is, here's what I want you guys to think about. And this is hard for us when we're a little bit newer in the business. Once you are working and doing this, and you're starting to really work hard on all of these foundation things to start building your business and reach your goals, sometimes we get very frustrated because you're doing all these things we talk about and you're not getting a bunch of new business. And that's very frustrating. It reminds me of like when somebody says, I'm going to go on a diet, right? And they do a bunch of work, they change the way they eat, they start eating healthier and all of that, and they lose some weight, and they feel better, and then they hit a plateau. That's what happens here as well. You hit a plateau where you're doing some things and people are saying, hey, I noticed you, I like this, I like that. Then you're getting a little bit of interest, but then it doesn't go any further. That is the point where if you don't continue after that plateau, you blew everything you did to build your goals. And now you start back from zero. So all the things that you're committing to here, you have to consistently do. And if you set a goal for yourself, let's say you fill in this entire thing and you have a weekly goal under several of these things. By Friday evening, if you look back and you say, I did absolutely everything I committed to this week, take yourself to dinner, buy yourself a drink, because you deserve it. What's important is to not get yourself frustrated with not always reaching the end result right away, because all of these things are your mini goals that help you reach your larger goal. And if you stop doing these, the chances of you reaching your goal that you set for 2021 is going to be very difficult. This will help you blow them out, but you won't be able to do this unless you do it. Write it down, do it consistently, track it, and see what's working and what's not for you. That's how this goes. And here's the problem. As you do this and you do get some opportunities, you will subconsciously or consciously say, I don't really have time to do this. I can't build 2 strategic alliance meetings every week because I have tours I need to do. I have opportunities. If you do that, it won't affect you next week and next month. It'll affect you in 2 months and 3 months and 6 months. And now you'll be working hard early 2021. By second quarter, things will start slowing down a little. You'll feel frustrated. You'll build up second quarter. You'll build up and you'll start getting some business. And then all of a sudden, after that business, you will flatten out a little bit. You'll get to your plateau and you'll give up. You'll say, it's not working for me. Keep at these activities. These are the keys. This is all that's going to work to make you be successful. It doesn't matter. You may get lucky with a couple of big listings or big sales. That's great. But in the long run, it's about planting seeds and watering them and fertilizing them and watering them again. That's how your business is going to grow. And that's the only way it's going to grow. Believe me, I know it looks like I'm blind, but I swear to God, there's gray in here. I've been around a long time. And I can tell you, it doesn't matter how good you are. If you don't do this consistently, it is not going to, if you're not going to consistently reach your goals. You guys have an opportunity to blow it out big in 2021. If you do this homework and you set it up properly. It's not brain surgery, it's basic stuff, but take time and do it. So a couple things. One, what other things besides what I mentioned here are you guys doing? And then any questions or whatever. And then I want to ask each of you, or as many of you are interested in responding, what did you learn today? The one thing that you learned today, and I'd love to hear from as many of you as possible. Put it in the chat. So what other things are you doing besides what I've mentioned to, build your activities? What other activities are you doing that are working for you? And then what did you learn today? The last one is, what are your action steps and what are you going to do? Now, you don't have to share that, that's up to you, but I want to know what others and I want to know what you learned. So come at me. There's not a whole bunch of you. jump in. I want to hear what you learned and what any other types of organizations you got involved in were.
Greta, can we do it verbally?
Absolutely. Go for it. Yeah, go for it.
My name's Matt O'Connell. I'm with the Donahoe Real Estate Services. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Matt.
I appreciate all the insight here. And what I've found here is, I am part of networking groups as well as a committee, but I'll be candid with you. I don't always make it to the Associated Builders Contractors meetings on a monthly basis. I'm going to have to commit, make a commitment there.
Yep.
I am part of 2 networking groups, which are good. They're fun, although they're Zoom right now. But I'm going to join a 3rd that I think I'm going to get more out of. I just got to figure out how to pay for it. So I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. But what I really liked is your points on the existing clients and past clients. But what I learned today was that, my shortfalls, like I mentioned, on those committees.
And we all have those, Matt. And there's nothing wrong with you joining another networking group. I think that's fantastic. Couple things I'm going to recommend. Number 1, is it going to cost you money? Good. Because if you put a little skin in the game, you're going to make sure that you show up. Okay. So that's number 1. Number 2, if you're going to be a part of these organizations and you don't show up, because if put it on your, go look and see if they have usually these organizations, whether it's a networking group or whether it's an organization like a chamber, like a builders organization, whatever it is, they usually have, the first Wednesday of the month or whatever. They have probably 6 months to a year already set on their calendar. So a recommendation I would make for you and really everybody else, go on their website, see when their meeting's in, and go in your calendar and set it up for 2021 as far as they've got them, because that priority is your priority. The number 1 business you have to help is yours, not your clients. Yours is number 1. So that's important. The other thing about networking groups, Matt, it sounds like you totally understand how to do those. Yes, you need to commit to going, but the most important thing is do not leave a Zoom call or that room without setting a one-on-one with somebody outside of there, so you can learn more about what they do and they can learn more about what you do, and you can learn how you can help each other. The more you do that, the quicker and faster you will see your business start to turn. I mean, really turn in a positive way. So that's exactly right. And that's not unusual, Matt, but we get caught up. I get it. So I'm glad you said that. By the way, anybody else, if you want to unmute and do it that way, that's fine too. It doesn't matter.
One last thing, if I could.
Yes.
My cold calling sheet is off of Excel, but I wouldn't mind checking how your format, if you wouldn't mind.
Absolutely. So here's what I'm going to ask you guys to do. If you would like my cold call sheet, which is just, it gives you like 7 little steps to go through. And it's not scripting. It's just kind of an outline. And then it's got the way I say it in my words, which certainly I don't want you to use as a script. I mean, it's up to you, but you want to make it your own. So when we get off the call, email me at greta@schulzbusiness.com. You have that on these sheets, I'm sure. And just tell me, you want the cold call sheet and I'll email it right out to you. I'll get it to you within the next 2 hours because I have something after this, but I'll certainly get that to you. So if any of you would like that, just email me and I'll send it right out to you. Okay.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay. Anybody else? You can either the chat or you can send me, or you can unmute.
Hi, Greta. And hi, everybody. I am Mirela, and I say Mirela Raicu from CORFAC International in Romania.
Wow. Wait, your name
on
is
the other side of.
What a beautiful name. Oh, wow. Wow. Romania. Neat.
Yes. And I found many things of value in the today's webinar. So I deeply thank you. I wrote down a question which I did not want to put a bit earlier. Namely, keeping in contact with past clients. to me and maybe to other people as well, raises the following question. I know it is very important to come with a bit of value to them, with interesting aspects, regarding the market, regarding their business. And I managed to do this, but with a limited number of clients, because I fight a bit perfectionism, and it takes a lot of effort to come with something of value to someone. Of course, there are the company marketing materials and so on. Do you have any specific recommendation regarding, I don't know, keeping the balance of quality and volumes?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And I do. And, I've brought this up before, and to me, this has been a godsend for me. On Google, there's something called Google Alerts. All you have to do is have a Google account, and a Google account is a Gmail account. Very simple. If you don't have one, go to Google, and up in the right-hand side, top right, it'll say sign up or sign in, and you just create a Gmail account. Very easy. Once you have that, they have several things that they offer you, and they have one thing called alerts, and it's free. And the easiest way to do it, if you have a Google account, go to google.com/alerts. It'll bring you right there. And what you can do is you can put absolutely anything down that you're looking for, and Google will email it to you when it sweeps the web every day and finds it. So for example, you might want to put something down like, let's say, we'll use the example in restaurants, right? Most frustration for restaurants today, difficulty in, think about the different clients that you have, changes in the law for accounting firms. It doesn't necessarily have to be about real estate. It can, but it doesn't have to be. So put down, every time I have a new client, I put down information in Google Alerts about them. I put their name, that particular client name, and I put the type of business that they have. And I usually put something like the biggest challenges with commercial real estate today, changes in the rules or the law in commercial real estate today, because commercial real estate is a client of mine. You want to do that with your clients, and let Google do the work for you. Put a few things down, don't go crazy, right? Because you'll get too many emails, because it emails you every day. But be somewhat specific. And as they email you, you can look at that. And if it's something you find of interest, you can take it and email it to that client and say, hey, I saw this and thought of you. Or you can print it out and give it to them or whatever. So that's the best way to do it. You're right. It takes a lot of work to do that, a lot of that digging, but Google will do that for you. Google Alerts will do that for you. You just have to get in there and put that kind of stuff in there. So if you're going after a geographic area, put that in there. If you are going after a particular type of client, put that in there. If you have past clients that are a particular type, put that in there. So that's what I would do. Okay.
It's a great thing, and thank you. We are using this system for our company to see what about our company is mentioned in the media and so on. But I never thought of using it for our clients too, at least for the strategic ones, when they increase, when they hire. It's
absolutely right. Imagine if they got an award and you didn't know about it, and you sent that to them and say, hey, congratulations, I see you got, whatever, the Lawyer of the Year award or whatever it is. I mean, imagine. Okay, so that's the kind of stuff it can do for you. I have a couple of things in chat here. Thanks for the session. It was very helpful. I found it interesting. That would should invest time in networking now to benefit us in the future rather than immediately. Yes, but networking is true. But if you set strategic alliances every time you are at any kind of networking organization, it'll happen a lot quicker for you. So this is a journey. It's not about closing next week. I mean, it would be nice to close immediate business, but you've got to, again, plant the seeds, water, fertilize. That's how it works. So you're right. Another one, thanks. Like ideas to send interesting and learning information rather than just real estate industry information. Nothing wrong with sending real estate interesting information, but make sure you put that with other things they'll find of interest. Again, Google Alerts will help you with that. So that's great. Can you repeat your email address? Okay, I guess you put that in there for everybody. So it's there. Greta@schulzbusiness.com. It should be in the front of your page. It may not. Okay. Greta@Schulz, business.com, and I think they sent it out to everyone. Guys, we're over time. I apologize. Thank you so much for your time today. If you do want that cold call information, which is kind of outside what we talked about today, but just email it to me. If you have any other questions that after we hang up, you say, oh, I should have asked her that, email it to me and I'll certainly get back to you with that. I have something coming up in a few minutes, so I won't be able to do that right then, but I will get it to you, I promise, and any other questions you have. So thank you so much for your time today, and blow it out in 2021.
Thank you, Greta.
Thanks,
Greta.
guys.
Everybody.
Take care all.